This was some news that broke overnight within the Republican Party. Apparently, Marjorie Taylor Greene became the first Republican to call Israel's conduct in Gaza a genocide. And the kind of roundabout way to getting there started with ABC breaking news: 15 people have died, including 4 children, from famine and malnutrition in Gaza in the last 24 hours, Hamas-run health ministry says. Now, even Stop Anti-Semitism had the bullshit line straight, which is, yes, it's terrible. It's too bad that these civilians died. And, of course, we have to blame Hamas for this, even though the New York Times confirmed reporting from within the Israeli military saying there's no evidence to back that, as has USAID. Stop Anti-Semitism, one of the most vile accounts on the entire internet, who smeared Miss Rachel, who tried to cancel Miss Rachel for anti-Semitism. Even they had the tact to say, you know what? This is heartbreaking, right? You know who didn't have such tact? Randy Fine. Randy Fine replies to that headline about Palestinian civilians who starved to death, saying, release the hostages. Until then, starve away. Starve away. As if a Palestinian child has the capacity to make a hostage deal. Starve away. And then he says, this is all a lie anyway.
Seriously consider
yes.
salads.
Exactly. This is all a lie anyway. It amazes me that the media continues to regurgitate Muslim terror propaganda. So that was last week. Now, of course, for those of you who do not, know Randy Fine as well as you may if you watched a lot of this content. He has made several statements very similar to the one that we just showed you. And so Max Blumenthal paid him a visit at a D.C. press event, asking him about his, quote, repulsive genocidal rhetoric and how long he'd last as an obvious glutton under the starvation conditions he supports in Gaza.
And Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. You've been a big supporter of killing civilians in Gaza. I was wondering, how long do you think you would last under the starvation conditions that Israel's imposed in Gaza? Like, have you ever put yourself in the shoes of the people of Gaza who are starving?
I don't believe in those who believe that they should keep hostages. If Gaza wants the war to end, they should let the hostages go. You take hostages, you get what's coming.
Do you think you're encouraging anti-Semitism by these kinds of comments, supporting the killing of children, supporting nuking Gaza?
No answer. This is a press event. You can see it's a junket.
Yeah. Why can't he do an adversarial interview? He can do an adversarial. I thought you were the Hebrew Hammer. You seem more like the Hebrew Scammer.
I don't talk to idiots. Yeah. So as you can see, it's a press event. They have all those setups there, and did not answer those questions from Max. So now you're pretty much caught up. We've done some segments on Randy Fine. That is the kind of content he regularly posts. Yeah.
Our friend Dan Richmond, because I said for our next project we should go to the district he represents and find out who the fuck votes for this guy. And Dan Richmond said that's not even a Jewish area.
Yeah, no, it's just I think it was Mike Waltz's district. Was it Waltz's or the other guy from Florida? It was one of those two. I think it was Mike Waltz's district.
Why did they vote for this guy?
Well,
like, how did this guy win? I understand it's a Republican district, but there was no primary. Like, how did this guy wind up in office?
Yeah. No, well, I mean, that is the influence of the Israel lobby, really. I mean, it must be that they just propelled this guy to some sort of, position. He was an elected official within Florida. I think he was a state senator. But yeah, it is mind-blowing.
Like, this guy, he absolutely is a sick bastard.
Yeah, just a transparently evil person. I guess if you're running for statewide office, foreign policy just doesn't come up that much. He must have just not spoken about this that
Seems
often.
Like he leads with the Zionism. You may be right.
Maybe post-October 7th he does, but I don't know. But Marjorie Taylor Greene makes a similar point. But we're getting a little bit out in front of ourselves. So this whole blaming Palestinian children for their own starvation was a bridge too far even for the American Jewish Committee, who tweets out, the serious humanitarian situation in Gaza must not be taken lightly, especially by those at the highest level of government, implying that starvation is a legitimate tactic is unacceptable. All those in need of humanitarian aid should receive it promptly and safely. Our leaders must focus less on scoring political points and more on doing their job.
Ixnay on the genocide, nay.
That's right. And quote tweeting that is Chris Brunet, who has an update. AIPAC has now disavowed Representative Randy Fine and removed him from their list of endorsed candidates. That's right. So the New Republic reports here, not even AIPAC wants to be associated with this GOP rep anymore. Has Florida Representative Randy Fine's shameless cheerleading for death gone too far for the American Israel Public Affairs Committee? That's, of course, AIPAC. After winning Florida's special election in April, Fine claimed that he was AIPAC's fastest ever endorsement, which he was. But on Monday, his name was mysteriously missing from AIPAC's database of pro-Israel candidates. So as you can see, if you go to AIPAC, you can search for the candidates that come with their endorsement. Plenty of Republicans on there, plenty of Democrats on there. As you can see, plenty of Randys on there. So if you search Randy, they have two Randys on there that they've endorsed. But if you expand that to Randy Fine, what happens? No matches anymore. Randy Fine not to be found on the AIPAC website any longer. It's not clear why Fine's name has been removed from the ranks of lawmakers championing consent for Israel's catastrophic military campaign, which has killed more than 62,000 people in Gaza. Of course, we know that's a gross undercount. However, one possible explanation is that Fine's recent remarks on the widespread famine in Gaza are too grotesque for even the most staunchly pro-Israel. In another post Sunday, Fine revealed, I mean, this guy is truly a psycho. Like, truly, this guy belongs in, like, a mental health like treatment center. I know Trump is talking about reopening those for the homeless. They should book this guy a bed there because this guy is an absolute lunatic. In another post Sunday, Fine revealed that the only thing he really supports is murder, pushing for a bill that would allow drivers to run over pro-Palestinian protesters blocking bridges and roads with impunity. Quote, the Thump Act will allow Americans to run over these Muslim terrorists, he wrote. They don't try this in Florida because of the bill I helped pass in the legislature to allow them to be run over. It's time to take it national. Thump. Now, before any of you Floridian chuds who hate watch us get any ideas, it is not legal to run over peaceful protesters in Florida. It is legal to, if someone is attacking you, you can hit the gas.
Well, that's the stand your ground.
That's the stand your ground type of thing. Yes, so exactly. It is not legal to just run over peaceful protesters in Florida. So there is the tweet there. They don't try this in Florida because of the bill that I passed. And, of course, the community note there says essentially what I just said, that no, it is not legal to run over peaceful protesters in Florida, no matter what you think of them. But he follows that up with, to be clear, the Thump Act will also allow you to run over BLM, Antifa, illegal immigrants, and anyone else who intentionally blocks roads. Thump. So this guy is trying to push through legislation that would make it legal to kill peaceful protesters. This guy is an absolute unhinged lunatic, an absolute fucking maniac, a maniac. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene then comes in and says, I remember the first time I met Randy Fine when he was a candidate before he barely won Florida's deep red 6th district seat, as we were being told he might actually lose the seat because the strong Trump district couldn't relate to him and didn't like him. He was telling me that he and his wife were looking forward to moving to Washington, and he hadn't even won yet. I said to him that Washington isn't a good place to live and he should live in the district he will represent. You know, the whole representative thing. But he was adamant that they did not want to live in the district. And I thought, no wonder the district doesn't want to elect him. I can only imagine how Florida's 6th district feels now that their representative that they were told to vote for openly calls for starving innocent people and children. It's the most truthful and easiest thing to say that the October 7th in Israel was horrific and all hostages must be returned. But so is the genocide. So she uses the word genocide. First Republican to use that word. Humanitarian crisis and starvation happening in Gaza. but a Jewish U.S. representative calling for the continued starvation of innocent people and children is disgraceful. His awful statement will actually cause more anti-Semitism.
Yeah, think.
Yes, that is 100% true. And it is significant that she said that because she is a very pro-Trump Republican. She is a fairly pro-Israel Republican, not the most fanatical among them, because that is a tough title to claim, especially with Randy Fine now in Congress. But she is generally pretty supportive of Israel. And for her to call it a genocide, yeah, that is newsworthy in and of itself. And for her to call out her Republican colleague over this is also newsworthy. You know, it begs the question, as she poses here and as you, Russell, posed earlier in the segment, who the fuck votes for this guy? How can you pull a lever for this guy? And the fact that he's getting some pushback from within the caucus could maybe, hopefully, wake up his constituents to what an absolute unhinged lunatic this guy is.
From what she's saying,
this guy
he
belongs in a
had
mental
a hard
hospital.
time.
Yeah.
That's my question. Like, how did he get through a primary? Because this makes sense. She's saying he had a hard time in the district, in spite of it being a solidly red district.
Well, I think it was a plus 30 district, and he won by 15. Now, the Democrats, because of the overall dynamic in the country, have been outperforming the 2024 numbers, so it's difficult to say if that was backlash against him or just a general increase in Democrat voter enthusiasm and a decrease in Republican enthusiasm. You don't know, but we will find out in the midterms. I mean, because now it's national news what a sicko this guy is. Like, it's not ignorable anymore. Like, if you live in his district, how can you rubber stamp this? How can you vote for this man? It is just remarkable. The guy belongs in a mental institution. Psychotically evil man. And now Marjorie Taylor Greene is even coming out and saying that, but that is just extraordinary. I mean, the thump that he's just a sadistic person, even beyond the Israel-Palestine issue. You can run over illegal immigrants if they block your car. I mean, he's a nightmare. I mean, he's just a real sicko. Unbelievable. Really unbelievable.
I'm gonna give this to his opponent for free. Best thing to happen to anti-Semitism since Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
That's right. That's right.
You can use that. You can use that.
It's also good that Marjorie Taylor Greene said that because, you know, we Jewish guys and Max Blumenthal, you know, a lot of Jews have been making that point over and over again, that this ultra-Zionist shit is terrible.
It's terrible
for Jews.
And that's where, like, the Jewish groups calling him out are guilty of tremendous hypocrisy. You know, this is what you're implying. You just don't want anyone to come out and say what he's saying.
Right.
You're implying it. You want to pretend that you're moral. You're not moral. If you were moral, you would say, we need to get rid of this apartheid state. It's not what Judaism is about.
Right. Exactly. But the fact that this is even, I mean, it's too much for AIPAC. That tells you everything you need to know. What that tells you is that he is a political liability. AIPAC has no conscience whatsoever. AIPAC is why this is happening to a large extent. Right? AIPAC is why.
When you're too much for AIPAC.
Yeah. Wow. Exactly. Wow. That is a pretty damning indictment. And again, he's too much for AIPAC because he just puts too ugly a face on it. That's what it is.
Well, because he's saying the soft part out loud.
Right. We just don't consider Arabs to be humans, or really any of our political opponents to be humans in his case.
Right.
And so it's just open season on them. I mean, it's psychotically violent and evil rhetoric. Like I said, the guy belongs in a straitjacket in a padded room, much less in Congress. So hopefully the fact that he's making so much news wakes some people in that district up to who he is. It'd be interesting to see what price he pays for that at the ballot box, because you'd think it'd have to be something. I mean, these people probably didn't know he was like that crazy at the time. Because here's the thing. The Democrats are mostly pro-Israel too. And so they are not inclined to highlight how psychotically Zionist he is because they're Zionists as well, right? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens on that front.
Please clap.